right at 7 o'clock, so I will call tonight's City Council meeting to order. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Here.
Councilmember Munson.
Here.
Councilmember Byström.
Here.
Councilmember Valento.
Here.
And Mayor Bain.
Here. I'd like to invite everybody to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to shut off your camera before you rise to do so, you can do that in the bottom left of your Zoom tray. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
For
which
which
it
it
stands, one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Council, I will have a couple of changes for the agenda this evening. Just a couple minor notes to accommodate, actually just one change to the agenda. I will have a change to the consent agenda when we get there. But for the regular agenda, just a heads up on timing. We've got a staff timing conflict for the presentation for resolution of 05242105, which is the Forest Hills Preserve. So there is a chance we may bump that later in the meeting, potentially after discussion items or potentially even after staff or and council updates. But we will have it on the agenda. We'll just play the timing by ear based on when we have staff available. So no earlier than what it's planned on the agenda. We just may bump it back. And so if we could, so no official change to the agenda, just a heads up on timing. And with that, if we could have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move approvals as outlined.
I'll second.
Motion from Councilmember Byström and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson. Councilmember Byström.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
And Mayor Bain.
Hi. With that, our agenda is approved. Our next item this evening is open forum. Open forum is any interested party's opportunity to speak to council on any topic of their choosing. And Karen, do we have any attendees for open forum this evening or any written submissions?
Mayor Bain, I haven't received any written submissions, and let me take a look here. I don't have any attendees waiting to speak in open forum either.
Very good, thank you. We will move on to the consent agenda. We have a staff request to move item 6K to the regular agenda. And so if there is a motion to approve, if we could just move 6K to the regular agenda. Actually, I'll make a motion to approve items A through J and items L and M. Is there a second or any other changes?
Second.
And motion and a second. Karen, could we have a roll call on the consent agenda?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Byström.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye, consent agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is item 6K. This was moved for just a minor change recommended by staff. Jamie, can you just give council a quick update?
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, just as Mayor Bain mentioned, just wanted to make note of a very minor change on section 11 in the contract provided in the packet for insurance. We did have 1.5 million listed for the insurance requirement, and we will just seek approval with that being changed to 2 million per occurrence for the liability insurance. And I did confirm with Mr. McBride that his insurance policy does cover that. So just a minor update, but looking for approval of this contract with section 11, changing 1.5 million to 2 million for the insurance.
Thank you, Jamie. Council, any questions or motion?
I move approval of the Arts in the Park Entertainment Promoter Contract with the change in insurance from 1.5 to 2 million as outlined by Jamie Moucher.
And I will second that.
A motion from Councilmember Byström and a second from Councilmember Munson. And Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Byström,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye, motion's approved. Moving on to our regular agenda this evening, we have item 7A, which is the resolution 05242103, which is a donation. And Chief Newman is here to present this evening.
Mayor and members of the council, we received a $125 donation from Peter and Colleen Nora. We'll be using their donation for fire prevention. I'd like to thank Peter and Colleen for their generous donation.
Thank you, Chief. I would move that we approve with gratitude. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second from Councilmember Husnick. And Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Byström,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Motion's approved. Our next item this evening is item 7B, resolution 05242104, Fitzgerald Flats. And Donovan is walking us through this. Hey, Donovan.
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to present the preliminary and final plat applications for Fitzgerald's Flats. This is, if that Fitzgerald's Flats sounds familiar, it's because it's the site of the Common Bond Communities apartment building that the Planning Commission did approve. Also, this is subject of a zoning map amendment and PUD amendment from last summer for that building, which has not started construction. And the final piece in creating the for that project right now is to create a lot for that. Just as a reminder, I'll share with you the location of the parcel. It's just kind of southwest of the transit center, southeast of the Headwaters Service Center here. It's currently a vacant lot, and essentially what you see is the upper part of it, of basically half of this lot shown now in blue. The submitted survey shows two conforming lots. And the reason why we're reviewing this as a plat is that because it's an outlot, it's Headwaters Village, outlot A, it needs to be actually platted as a lot, even though it's what we'd otherwise do as a minor subdivision application. And so, and this was, has been the outlot since May of 2007. And now the owner, Fenway Investments, Len Pratt, has found a buyer for a portion of it. And it's represented by Sally Rabin, who's with us tonight from Common Bond Communities. And I will show you the plat itself that shows the two lots. This is the upper one, more northwesterly lot, is the site of the proposed apartment building that has been approved by the Planning Commission in the site plan review. It has drainage utility easements that are approved by the city engineer. Our Bolton and Mank engineer did review these and finds it meets city standards. And so the staff recommendation is for approval with the conditions that the city approved plat and all required documents are recorded with Washington County. And prior to any construction, all concerns of city engineer must be met, as well as building permits obtained and Rice Creek Watershed District's permits obtained. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from City Council.
Thank you, Donovan. Council, what questions may you have of Donovan this evening?
Mayor Bain. Aye.
I was just going to say, I don't have any questions. I feel like this project has been brought before us before, so pretty familiar. And the Planning Commission didn't seem to have any concerns, so that's always a good feeling.
Correct. Donovan, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor and members of council, I should say the important piece is that in your packets on page 105 is resolution 05-24-2104 for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Donovan. Council, any questions before we move to resolution? I'm not hearing any, as Councilmember Munson stated. We are at the final stages of this project, and it has had a number of rounds of both council and planning commission input. So anyone ready for a motion tonight? Page 105 of our packet.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 05-24-21-04, a resolution approving preliminary and final plat for Fitzgerald Flats, Common Bond Community.
And I'll second it, Mara.
Fantastic. We have a motion from Councilmember Munson and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Any further discussion on this item? All right, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Byström,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion is approved. Ms. Rabin, thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate seeing you and wish you luck on your project.
Thank you so much. We hope to break ground in August, so pretty exciting.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
With that, we will move to our next agenda item, which is 7C, the Airport Business Park CBRE listing agreement. And Dan.
Mayor, members of council, before you tonight is the listing agreement for the 2 remaining parcels in the Airport Business Park. Right now, we're asking them to be listed with CBRE, which is the firm that is currently listing the Headwaters 123-acre parcel for the city of Forest Lake. Enclosed in your packet is a map of the 2 parcels that we are asking to be listed with CBRE this evening. I apologize, I cannot get them on my screen tonight since I'm in chambers and my Zoom meeting is on a different computer, so I can't do a screen share to show them, but the map is included in your packet, and it does show the 2 parcels. CBRE is proposing a listing price of $1.50 per square foot for the 2 parcels. This is in line with the current market for shovel-ready sites, so previous listings, I think, had them right around $3 a square foot. So we actually had these are in better alignment with where the market is right now. The length of the agreement right now, the current agreement that is before you does expire on April 7th of 2022. I did talk to Dan Peterson and we renewed the Headwaters, did an amendment for renewal for the Headwaters listing agreement in December. And I asked him about the possibility of bringing this one back in December as well for an amendment so we could sync those 2 up so they would expire on the same date. And he's going to work on an amendment near the end of the year so we can sync up the expiration of the Headwaters 123 and these 2 parcels here. And I appreciate Karen sharing the 2 parcels. They are now on the screen. So I appreciate the save there. Just in full disclosure, these are probably 2 of the 2 more challenging parcels within the Airport Business Park to sell. They do have some wetlands on them and some ponding in there, so they are a little bit more challenging sites. But in talking to Dan Peterson and his team, he is confident that there is a market for it. So they are, excited to list these 2 parcels for the city. At this point, staff is recommending approval of the CBRE listing agreement for the 2 remaining parcels in the Airport Business Park. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the listing agreement.
Thank you, Dan and Karen, for the screen share. Council, questions that you may have related to the listing agreement? Or a motion to approve the listing agreement if you're so inclined.
I just have a question for Dan Mayor Bain. Are we, how is how are things going with CBRE, with our other property? I just out of curiosity, and then I often have to kind of revert back to kind of shop local, and why aren't we looking for individuals at the local level to list these on our behalf? I understand the idea that it makes some sense to have them listed all together, with this organization. But can you kind of help me with that a little bit? Why
Sure.
the decision to go this route?
CBRE, in my opinion, has been doing a great job for us on the Headwaters parcel. They have a pretty good exposure nationally. So if you're looking to bring in like a data center, a national vendor, they are in that market share. They also have a very strong regional presence as well. I mean, they have a big office in Minneapolis. One of the reasons to put this parcel, listed with CBRE is they do have a little bit bigger market presence, I believe, especially when you're looking for a commercial vendor to come in, having that bigger reach, sort of having those contacts, both, within the metro area, regionally, and also nationally, does help to make sure that you're in front of the right selectors when they are looking for parcels. So that's one of the main reasons to put this with CBRE. And obviously we're not listing it for, multiple years at this point. It is a year by year listing. So if we do see down the road that we want to switch that listing down the road, we do have that option. We're not locking into, a 5-year listing agreement here. We're looking at it just through April, and they will come back with a, sort of a market strategy once they get the listing. We'll let them develop that marketing strategy and then, review that strategy. They do provide updates to the EDA relatively regularly. So we kind of know how that listing is going for the Headwaters parcel. And I expect them to do the same thing for this airport business park listing as well.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Byström and Dan. Any other questions related to the listing agreement? Councilmember Husnick.
Yeah, Mara, I'd make a motion that we would approve the listing agreement with for the airport business park with CBRE as Dan described.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion from Councilmember Husnick and a second from Councilmember Munson. Any further questions or discussion on this? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Byström,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye, and motion is approved. Moving on to our next agenda item this evening is item 7D, which is the water meter shutoff for non-compliance. Dave.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've been here a couple times asking for the same a blessing. As you know, we had that water meter project in 2020 of last year in 2020. Successfully changed out almost 4,000 meters, and we're down to that list attached about 22 meters left that are either census meters or they are the old school Neptune meters that just need the registry head replaced. As part of the project, the vendor sent every one of these properties floor mailers. That project concluded in October with 90% completed. So we kind of inherited these last ones. Through the winter, we weren't gonna pressure homeowners, as we don't want to threaten to shut people's water off in the middle of winter. That's just something you don't do. So in March and April, we started up again, putting door hangers, making phone calls, trying to reach out. At the beginning of March, we had about 50. So we narrowed down about, cut it in half of what we had left. And the ones on this list today are the ones that we just are not getting any response from. Typically, like in the past, when we paint up the front yard and hang that last mailer that says your water is going to be shut off tomorrow morning, they usually comply and we get the meter in and get it changed. I think since I've been doing this, we've shut off 3 people's water, and those 3 people's are still off their vacant houses that we just couldn't even get into. So just tonight, I'm just asking approval to to go ahead and shut these houses off of water for non-compliance.
Thank you, Dave. Council, questions for Dave this evening? Dave, traditionally when we are shutting water off, it's for non-payment of the utility bill. Is that correct? Like that's a kind of an annual process that seems like once a year we get the list of water shutoffs. And this circumstance is because of the water meter change out. I'm wondering if it is worth longer than a 24-hour period just to allow for more education, more conversation. I'm not suggesting 3 weeks, but I'm wondering if 3 days might be more appropriate time. Just wondering your feedback on that, given that it's not the usual reason why we're shutting off water, unless I'm incorrect. And just want to know your reaction on just a little bit of a longer time frame. 24 hours, somebody happens to be out of town or whatever. That's just a tight turnaround.
Typically, when I come to you, it is because of the meter of non-compliance. It is against city ordinance that Public Works or the city has access to the water meter inside the house at all times. So I know there's non-compliance with not paying bills, and usually we don't shut water off. That just gets tacked on, certified, and put on property taxes. So when I'm coming for approval, it's because we can't get to the meter, and a lot of these are census that haven't read for 5, 6, 7 years. So I mean, they've been paying estimated water usage for years, and sometimes that's why they don't want us to come and look at the meter either, because we don't know what they're using. We're just guessing. So, but it is a city ordinance that we have to have access to that meter because it's the city property what's inside the house. So there is some delinquent accounts on there, and when we do shut water off, as per ordinance, once we do shut water off, we do not turn it back on until they pay their water bill. That's another reason why we catch some of the homeowners and they want us to do it quick so they don't get their water shut off and have to pay the bill. So it's, like I said, I've come to you 3-4 times with about 20 a piece each time, and we've only had to shut 3 off. We've never got to the point where we haven't figured something out, or so.
Thank you. That's helpful. The context is helpful.
Council,
questions?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Have you made contact? I noted that you've made 3 attempts already, phone calls and letters and door hangers. Have you made contact with any of these residents? Direct contact?
We've made some contact with a few. And we'll probably have to have FLPD assist us to come to a couple of these houses.
Okay.
Very standoffish on a few. Some ownership has changed, and that's why with the vendor, they were sending it to most likely the wrong address. We ran into some of them, but those are the ones that we took care of this March, April by doing the door hangers.
Okay.
These 22 have been non-responses since June of last year. I mean, it's been almost a complete year with, I think personally, with the vendor trying 4 times plus us with multiple door hangers and personal phone calls where the vendor didn't even try calling. They just did a postcard in the mail. So I really feel we've done our due diligence of trying to get a hold of these folks and doing it the less painful way. So.
Understood.
All right. It's just
Councilmember Husnick.
Yeah, it's just too bad we have to resort to that sort of thing. But this has been going on for a year. 4 notices, some certified mail. I think once, wasn't it, Dave, and banging on doors and whatever it takes. And I hate to resort to that, but I don't know what else we could possibly do in this case. I think our hands are kind of tied in this thing. And as far as somebody being out of town, well, they don't need the water then anyways. At that time they could, get together with city staff and get that thing worked out. So, Dave, what happens if they come back and they say, well, I'll be home tomorrow. Do you guys immediately go back over there, then change the meter right away and get the thing resolved, or is there a delay there or not?
So we won't do all of them all at once. So we'll pick maybe 7, 8 of them, this week on a Wednesday morning. We'll go out and do it right away at 7, 8 in the morning and paint up their curb stop and put the door hanger on. So it gives them that full day to see it before they go to work, and then when they come home from work, and the blue flag and the paint in the yard.
Okay.
So it's usually we get phone calls that same day of people calling in the afternoon. So with myself and staff, the numbers to call, they know they have, options to call all day long to get a hold of it. So,
Mhm.
we try to make it as painless as possible. And even when we do shut off, it's the same thing. It's we'll turn it back on that same day if they just let us in and do it. And it's not, our door hanger even says it's not that you have to have it done that day. You just need to call and set up an appointment. So
okay.
you don't have to let us in 2 days to come and do that. You just have to call City Hall or myself to set up an appointment. So we just need you on the books to do it, whether it's that same day or a week and a half from now. We need something on the book saying yes, we can get in there and change it out.
Just the fact that there's some kind of conversation, it makes me feel a little bit better about it. But I don't know what else we're going to do. I'd sure like to hear some other suggestions if they're out there.
And we have to enter the home to do this, Dave?
Correct, yep.
Okay, I'm wondering about, in some cases, if there's been hesitancy because of COVID, this past year. Or if it's just pure resistance, I don't know the answer to that, but I like to try to give our residents every possible benefit of the doubt, so, but I can see that you've definitely done your due diligence here.
This is a really cleaned up spreadsheet, but if you saw the one that we have, it's color coded and notes like this is a COVID house, call back in the spring. This is a homeowner with this. I gave you the clean version, but we tracked what day and times we made phone calls, what day we put door hangers on, the dates that the vendors put the time on. I mean,
Yeah.
and to your point, the COVID one, there was a group of 10 or 15 that we just, we called back this spring and said, hey, are you comfortable with us coming in? And all those folks let us back in. They were feeling comfortable. So this isn't, none of these people on this list have anything to do with the COVID thing. That we would extend that for sure. We completely understand that, but these on the list have nothing next to their name of an excuse why or reason why, we haven't been able to get in there.
Okay.
Believe me, I don't want to shut off somebody's water that shouldn't be getting shut off either. It's we go through the list and go through the list and go through the list and then go through it one more time. So
Yeah, the sad part is not having the communication. That's the thing I worry about, and that's really too bad. But
Meaning the communication on the part of the resident as to what their resistance is. It's just it's hard to be planful or to help on when there's just no response.
So you're looking for a motion then to continue on with as you're doing there, I assume, Dave?
Yeah, I'm just looking for approval to turn the water off to the list provided for non-compliance. I
will hesitantly make a motion that we approve the water meter shut off for non-compliance in the respect that Dave has done his due diligence, and there's more due diligence coming, and we're just looking for communication and set up a time when this can get resolved.
I'll second it.
There's a motion from Councilmember Husnick and a second from Councilmember Byström. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Byström,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion is approved. Quick timing check in with Donovan on our next council item. Are we looking to push that back a little bit further into the agenda?
Yes, we are, please.
All right, so we will suspend the regular agenda and move on to our discussion only portion. And with that, the next item is athletic, discussion item 8A, which is athletic field fees and senior center room rental fees, and the associated fee schedule amendment. And we have Jamie presenting for us. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, for discussion tonight and before you in your agenda, are in the agenda packet. I have outlined some proposed additional fees for the 2021 fee schedule for the athletic field rentals and our Forest Lake Senior Community Center. So as you're aware, we've undergone some changes with our operations regarding our facilities. And so with that, we do need to add some fees to our fee schedule for this year. The first one I'll talk about is the athletic field rentals. This is something we've talked about quite a bit and quite extensively. We were working with the Forest Lake Area Athletic Association to determine what our fees for renting and reserving our athletic fields would look like. Through that process, we did end up working with the Forest Lake Area Athletic Association on a 1-year agreement. And in that, we did include season permits for the use of Fenway fields. So tonight before you, you have the additional fees that we would charge at our athletic fields, and it's broken down for Fenway fields and then our other city fields. So Belts Park, Schilling Park, and Cooling Camp. We do have a resident, non-resident, and a nonprofit youth organization rate. These fees, we also add the tournament fees, again, for nonprofit youth organizations and any other tournaments that would come forward. These fees were discussed with the Forest Lake Area Athletic Association as it relates to youth organizations. And the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission did approve this at their last meeting last Tuesday. And then secondly, the Forest Lake Senior Community Center, now that is operating under the city, city staff did meet and evaluated the fees that were being charged for room rentals at the Forest Lake Senior Community Center. So before you, we've put together the recommendation of the fees that we would just add into our fee schedule that are in alignment with what was being charged in the past. So you see a room rental for the multi-purpose room, which would be $30 per hour with the 5-hour minimum. And then any other, the smaller little rooms they have available would just be $30 per hour. And then also they do have a membership fee, which would be, it was previously $18, but the senior board did want to move that to $20 for a full year. So we'd prorate that at $10 for a half a year. So with that being said, this is discussion tonight. So just an opportunity for council if there's any other final questions. Otherwise, this would come back to the June 14th for final approval. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Mayor Bain, I have just a quick question. I wasn't sure, Jamie, if you said that the resident $25 fee for, I believe it's Fenway, that has been, is that the FLA rate? There's a difference.
FLA's rate is already included in the permit amount, so they would not have that fee.
Okay, okay, that's why I was confused for a second.
Right, so if a resident wanted to reserve it for a family get together or some other use fields, that would be the $25 per hour.
That's what I thought, but there's a lot of back and forth and just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Byström.
A couple of things, Jamie. Can you clarify the school issue here too? I know that was part of the discussion at the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission meeting. Maybe I'll let you do that first, and then I have a follow-up.
Sure. So the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission asked if schools would have a fee, and we would not have a fee listed here or a fee for the schools. And so that is not reflected in the fee schedule. So it would be just other youth organizations or youth sports groups that wanted to come in, but we would not charge the schools.
I'm wondering if that does need to be reflected here, though, in some way, shape, or form, because it's not clear looking at the document that that's the case. I think the second piece for me here is I'm still really struggling with the resident fee. When I've done, a little bit of homework on my own of some other kind of comparable communities, we seem to be considerably higher. A lot of them are just a flat rate for a period of time. City of Anoka, for example, for many of their fields, or courts or those sorts of things. And I know we're not including those. They had no charge, but their resident fee, for example, for softball and baseball was $4. And I know at one point we had $3.75 on this list.
Yeah.
So I'm just not, I don't have a whole lot of context here. Why are we kind of all over the place with the fees, and how did we land here?
Yeah, so the resident, so when you look at the other fields, so before we had Fenway Fields listed here, we've had the $15 per hour per field as our field rental fee for quite a few years. So we were charging $15 per hour per field previously. This is the first year we did a resident and non-resident rate. So that's where we took the $15 an hour per field that we were previously charging, and the Parks, Trails and Lakes Commission wanted a different rate for residents and non-residents. What you see of the $3.75 an hour, we did talk about that with FLAW for youth organizations. So FLAW did recommend a $3 per hour per field for using some of our other fields like at Cooling Camp. So that's where FLAW came back with that, and that's, I think, comparable to what you might have referred to in Anoka, where they had the $4 per hour. Okay. So the $3 per hour per field was where we were at the $3.75 per hour, but we dropped that down to $3 an hour to kind of have that compromise of what's a very nominal, but a fee to charge for the use of the fields to those organizations.
Yeah, the city of Anoka is a straight $4. I know, you know, soccer and ball fields in Wyoming, $10 a field for up to 2 hours, $5 for each additional hour per field. You know, so it feels to me like we're a little high, and I'm just, you know, if that's where we've been and people have been receptive to it, I don't know. I just I am struggling with that one a little bit when we have taxpayers paying for them. So it feels like it's a double dip a little bit, you know.
Councilmember Bystrom.
Maintenance.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Councilmember Bystrom, is the concern over Fenway in particular, or the all other fields? Is it both?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, Fenway's a little bit of a different animal, I think, because there's just so much additional maintenance that needs to occur there. So I feel a little less passionately about that one than I do kind of the all other fields. I mean, I just, you know, I
guess I can make a quick comment too, just that as we transition to having more of the field facilities, all of our fields are available first come, first serve. So if you're not paying the fee, they've been being used quite frequently and organically in the community, that they are available. This would just be, I think, kind of those special situations if you know you wanted to make sure that you had the field reserved, and that as we're bringing field scheduling into the city, it's just kind of that stepping stone to have the fee, that if somebody wanted to make sure that they had it for a graduation party, for example, so they could play the pickup game with their family and it's a scheduled activity, then that's when this fee would come into place. But if people wanted just to show up and use the fields, you know, they are available first come, first serve if they're not reserved and scheduled. So we haven't seen a lot of paid reservations, but it's just, you know, to have in the fee that if someone should want to reserve it, that's, you know, the fee that we'd have in place for that. So it's, you know, I think we are taking kind of some steps to a more formalized policy in the future of the field reservations and bringing the field scheduling in-house under the city. Just this year, you know, it's kind of this is a stepping stone. And because we do have Fenway Fields now under the city for scheduling, previously that was under FLAW, we do need to have a fee structure in place for that. So, and as I mentioned, we did have, just if you looked back to previous years of our fees, we did have a field rental of $15 per hour per field.
Jane?
Councilmember Munson.
I agree with Councilmember Bystrom, but I think I'm looking at it a little bit differently now that you've clarified that point. in other words, the fee, if you're going to have a birthday party, let's just say, the fee is you're guaranteed that field. Otherwise,
Correct.
sort of like renting the pavilion down at the park, even though I know that's not a field, but still park.
Correct.
So then you're guaranteed, and you can say to someone, hey, I reserved this. I have such and such permit.
Correct.
Okay. So that makes sense to me. I mean, if you're going to, then you're guaranteed, then otherwise it would be a logistical nightmare. I don't know how you would do it. I don't know.
And that's similar, and I'm glad you brought up the other facilities. So at Lakeside Memorial Park and a couple of our other parks, when we do rent out our facilities, it's the same model that, we have people that have the birthday parties or graduation parties, and they want to make sure that they have it reserved for 3 or 4 hours. They're willing to pay a small resident or non-resident fee to guarantee they have that space, and we post notification that they've got it reserved. I do have people that call, and I do let them know that it's a Sunday at 10 in the morning. I don't think there's going to be a strong demand for reserving it, that they are available first come first serve, because we don't want to be charging them to just charge them. But there are certain times, especially in the summer, when there's the high demand, just to make sure that you have that space, then that would be the fee we would charge. And again, I think it'll take yet this year. This can obviously be reevaluated for yet later for our 2022 fee schedule, but I think this is a good stepping stone as we move forward in taking some of that field rentals and reservations under the city this year. We can reevaluate it once we get through the next few months of summer and make some adjustments and reconsiderations for 2022.
I wanted assurance that the neighborhood kids who wanted to walk across the street to an open field and have a pickup baseball game, didn't have to reserve it and pay $15 an hour,
Definitely not.
Yeah. So
I think we're going to continue to see a lot of that just first come, first serve use. This is just the fee we would have to charge if somebody wanted to say, we want to make sure we have Belts Park for a family gathering. We could then collect a fee and post notification that this is going to be reserved by a private party from 5 to 7 p.m. And then if the party shows up and somebody is playing, then we can just kindly inform them that this is a paid reservation to utilize the fields at this time. So,
okay.
Jamie, where are those postings at? I mean, how would you know when you walk onto the field that it's been reserved?
That's a great question. This is a fairly new process for the city, as this is our first year taking on more of that field scheduling. But simple ways we can post them at the Lakeside Memorial Park. We have memo boards. So we post a sign in there that says we have the gazebos reserved or a picnic shelters reserved. So I would do that same model, either put a memo board there or post on the fencing that this is a reserved party. I also communicate to anybody reserving a facility, just they have a copy of a confirmation that this is a paid reservation. So they have proof of that as well. So they could inform others if needed.
All right. And one other question, how much in advance should they be reserving a spot? I mean,
for fields, I have one request in for a graduation party. They've notified me, about a month in advance, and we cross-checked with other schedules we've already received to make sure the date was available. So I would say with our picnic shelters, we say about 7 days prior notice, but any 7 days or more, but I'm happy to be flexible and work with people as needed.
Yeah, my concern was somebody running up and say, hey, I want to reserve it for this afternoon. And somebody's already there playing on it, So no, that sounds like a good plan, at least some buffer there. So.
Yeah, I think we're as staff happy to make any reasonable accommodations, with any requests that come in. We've received a couple already. And if we're able to accommodate it, we're happy to do so.
I will say that, considering that it's what you're paying for is actually the right to have the exclusive use and that reservation. I think that for the amount of infrastructure and facilities that are at Fenway and the more what we could classify in the fee schedule as the athletic field rentals, I think that structure makes sense. If our $15 an hour is a little high, our intent, I mean, this isn't a huge budget revenue item for us. And if that needs to pop down just a bit to be more in line with other communities, I don't have a challenge with that. And I don't think it's necessarily $4 an hour, but if 15 is a little on the strong side, I am open to bringing the all other fields, you know, to something that's palatable. So I don't think we need to be on the high end. And so I do have some appetite to bump that down. If that's 10 or 12 or whatever that looks like. I don't know what that magic number is, but if the gut reaction is, oh, that's a little steep, I want to, you know, $30 for Belts Park for a field for a, you know, couple of hours. I don't have my heart set on it. It has to be 15 an hour. I do think non-residents, I think $25 an hour is fair, but for that resident rate, I would have an appetite to bring that down, just hearing the conversation, just throwing that out there. Any other feedback for Jamie at this point? All right.
I know there's a lot of moving parts this year, Jamie, and we want to do the right thing by our residents. That's all, you know. And so I know there's a lot to sort through, but I tend to agree with Mayor Bain that let's you know, maybe drop it a little and then, you know, see how things go.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. So I made a note on that, and we'll revisit the other fields, the resident fee and reduction for that to bring forward.
Okay.
We kind of did a deep dive onto that particular line item of the fee schedule. I know that there were a couple of other points of reference for us, senior center being one of them. Any other questions or points of conversation we should be considering tonight?
I guess I would ask the resident, non-resident question about the rental at the senior center as well. Is there a reason why we didn't land on a resident, non-resident fee schedule there?
At this point, staff, we reviewed what has been being charged, and just to keep consistent with that for this year to evaluate, we didn't clarify. There's still a lot of things we're learning as we transition the senior center operations. They were charging just $150 for the multi-purpose room, and it was a minimum of 5 hours. So we just thought that this is a good starting point until we can really understand more of the different groups and users of the facility. At this time, we don't have that detailed information of who's renting it, when, and how. We have a very high level basis of that, and we'll continue to sift through that. I think it would be something to definitely look at and consider as we look at the 2022 fee schedule.
Okay. I know it's a baseline year.
It is a baseline year for this. There's a lot to learn yet with that facility.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, kudos to everybody who's gotten us to this point. I know with the conversations with FLA and Parks, Trails, and Lakes, this has been a while in the works. So I'm thrilled we're at this point. So.
Thank you.
Council, anything further this evening, or Jamie, anything further you'd like council to consider on this topic?
I think I have the feedback that I need. If there's any other questions, just let me know.
All right, that sounds good. And we'll come back to council at a future topic. With that, we will move on to our next discussion item this evening, which is draft ordinance 703, which is a related conversation to fee schedule amendment. And I think there's a couple of additional considerations. I apologize for the dog in the back. He is sick of me being on calls. I'm gonna put myself on mute and turn it over to Karen.
Thank you, Mayor Bain. Yeah, this is kind of a jump off of some of Jamie's items. Obvious biggest changes to this fee schedule, which is actually an ordinance and needs to be adopted, is the park and recreation fees. Discussed FLA. So it sounds like Jamie and I will have to probably have a conversation. And if this is coming back to council again for further discussion on or direction on if that's, you know, reducing the fee and deciding, is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 5? what we're going to do there. So this is an ordinance change. It does require a 10-day notification. And so that's why I was bringing it to you now to account for the timelines. Sounds like we'll shift that back even further, which is fine. And then also to speak about the senior center, Jamie mentioned that the charge they were using for that multi-purpose room was $150 with a 5-hour minimum, which works out to be $30 an hour. That is the rate that we currently charge for use of the community room and other rooms for organizations in the city center as well. So it's in keeping with the same fees that we're already charging for use at the city center. Some additional changes have been just simple language. Administration and Finance Department, you can see on here, they added special to the assessment search just to indicate that it's not a regular fee, it's a special fee that people are assessed. Fire Department had apparently for several years, and I guess I missed it, it was $4,150 for a storage tank, and it's supposed to be $150. So that got missed for multiple years apparently. And Al caught it and brought that to my attention. So that change is being asked. There is a driveway access permit fee that is being added in the zoning department, which I think we've had that. I just don't think it's actually been officially on the fee schedule. And then finally, Public Works Department is making a couple changes and also adding separate fees for the size of hydrant meter deposits. So 3/4 inch is $300, a 2.5 inch, $2,500. I guess this is I might have to check that to make sure that that's correct. But those are changes and additions in the Public Works Department as well. So those are the more significant changes that we're seeing. Again, this is an ordinance, so it does need to be adopted by council. I will get with Jamie, but just based on what you see here, is there anything that council has concerns about or would like to see different other than the park fees that are indicated here?
Thank you, Karen. And council, what feedback or questions might we have related to the fee schedule? My only question would be related to timing. Maybe also a good opportunity, council, for us to clarify our instructions or expectations related to this resident on the recreational fields. I didn't hear that council was expecting that to come back in a workshop format. That could just, staff can kind of take our feedback and propose an adjusted fee and bring that back for us for approval. And then if that is indeed the case, does that mean that you'd have to delay the timing of bringing the ordinance forward?
No, because it would come to the June 14th meeting.
Okay, and there is still time to do, obviously, the 10-day posting for that.
Yes.
Council, as you heard that sequence of events, do you have any concern over this planned sequence, or do you want us to delay? Do you want Karen to delay posting the ordinance change?
I don't have a problem with it, Mara. No.
Yeah, I don't either. I think we can get this resolved by that June 14th meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Okay. Sounds good.
I
So
would
I'll
be
just
comfortable. Yeah.
I'll talk with Jamie, and then what I will do is make whatever her recommended changes are to the section on Parks and Recreation Department, and then an ordinance notice will be posted for that, and then that'll come back to the June 14th council meeting for your decision.
Terrific. Karen, any other feedback you need from council at this time?
I don't think so.
All right, council, just before we move off of this topic, any other points of input? Seeing none, I'm going to do a quick check-in with Donovan. Donovan, I assume we are going to move on to staff updates. Is that the preferred path?
Mayor, yes.
Okay. We will continue to put on suspense. Karen, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment. I had received an email from Ryan and he had noted in there that maybe around 8:30 is when he
Okay.
would be able to join the meeting if we're
Okay.
still in session at that point.
Understood.
So another half hour.
We will not be able to suspend, but we can continue making progress in other parts of the agenda. So, all right. Thank you for that, Karen. We'll move on to staff updates. We'll start with Patrick and then move on to Dan.
Mayor and members of council, I have no update today, but if you have questions or issues you'd like to discuss, please let me know.
Anything for Patrick this evening?
Sounds like you might need to make some things up so we can kill some time.
All right, Dan, and after Dan, we'll go to Chief Peterson.
Mayor, members of the council, as you may notice from my.
Dan, we're not hearing you. By the way, Dan is testing out the new equipment in the, this is the new hybrid equipment that's available in council chambers.
Can you hear me now?
Not
Barely,
really.
just barely.
There you go. Better. Well, no, that was Sam, not you.
I was just gonna say everything was working and all of a sudden it stopped working.
You're really far away. It's like it's picking your computer mic up instead of the mic in front of you. We will come back to Dan, Chief Peterson, and then Chief Newman.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any updates for you either. But Dan, just to let you know that I was bumped out of this meeting 3 or 4 times. So I don't know if there's something going on with the servers, but maybe it's something totally different.
Could be. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sort of, yeah. We'll go on to Chief Newman and then Pete and Amanda.
Mayor, members of the council, I do have an update. We are coming up on 1 year since mHealth took over from North Ambulance. And every month, Greg Weiss, Captain Weiss, and I meet with Kevin Kane, who is the regional manager for the Forest Lake area, which includes Hugo, Scandia, Wyoming, Linwood, Forest Lake, and Columbus. And their average emergent response time for April was 5 minutes and 19 seconds for Forest Lake, and that includes the areas around the lake as well. To give you an idea of how good of a response time that is, the national response target is 8 minutes and 59 seconds. And the response target for Hennepin County in the city of Minneapolis is 90% of their calls at 10 minutes and 59 seconds or less. So 5 minutes and 19 seconds is pretty good response time. So they'll actually hit the first year the 26th of June. And then if the council would like, we could invite them in to give their year recap for their service in Forest Lake. And they do that with other councils as well.
Chief, I would welcome that opportunity to hear from them. And then a question would be, what was that response rate with our previous provider? What were we seeing? And maybe you mentioned that I missed it.
We never received response times in the past. Oh. And so when mHealth came in, one of their promises to all the municipalities that they serve is that they would provide a monthly update and a monthly meeting with that municipality. And we've met every month, and they have just continued to improve in their response time as their paramedics learn the area and all the intricacies of our road system and getting around the lake. And you can see each month they just gradually improve.
That's fantastic, and would love to tell them that in person and just hear from them. So whenever is a good time, we'd welcome that time on the agenda.
Okay.
Council, any follow-up questions for Chief Newman? All right, we will check in with Dan again. Dan, any update?
Is it working now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna let everybody know I've been testing the system here, and apparently I was messing with the volumes and shut the volume off of the microphone as well. But 2 meetings so far in the blended sessions, and have been able to hear everything in here with no feedback. So it appears everything is working here. I did meet with Paul Peterson this afternoon to talk about getting microphones off the dais and into the some staff tables in front, because with social distancing, we have to displace staff a little bit further out into the audience. So have a little bit of microphone moving that we need to do before we can get all the staff mic'd. But overall, the system is performing as designed. So the blended setup is working extremely well. I also have an update that the downtown sculpture has been installed. It was installed, I believe, last week. So if you haven't yet, be sure to swing downtown and take a look at the new sculpture that is in the roundabout next to Lakeside Memorial Park. And I'm also working with New Tracks to get that service resumed. Right now, it's tentative for June 16th, but we need to make sure that we get the agreement back before EDA prior to. So he's right now penciling it in for a June 16th start, but can flex that a little bit and delay that if need be. So excited to get that service back up and running as well, especially since now that the senior center is reopened. That bus does serve the senior center on Wednesdays. So we're looking to resume at this point, possibly on the 16th of June. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you, Dan. Council, any questions for Dan? All right, let's move on to Dave. I didn't give you a heads up, Dave, but if we could go with Dave next, and then Jamie, and then Ryan. Dave, any updates for council this evening?
No updates tonight, unless you have anything for me.
Any questions for Dave? Hearing none. Jamie.
Yes, just the only update, as you're aware, with the contract approval tonight for the entertainment in the park. We are going to go back to the full Tuesdays starting June 15th. So it's we're gearing up. We'll release the concert series this week. So you will see some concert agreements coming through quickly here in the June 14th meeting. And we're looking forward to having everybody back down at the park this year. And that is it, unless you have any other questions for me.
Any questions for Jamie? Thank you, Jamie. Looking forward to Arts in the Park again. All right, let's go on to Sandy. And we do have Sandy tonight. Sandy, any updates for council? And we'll go to Karen and then follow up with Ryan if Ryan has anything.
I have nothing to add unless there's any questions for me.
Anything for Sandy? All right, Karen.
Thank you, Mayor Bain. I have a small update. I received an email from Washington County about redistricting. So I'm not sure what that conversation is going to entail. So far, all I have is just a meeting time scheduled for Thursday, June, is it maybe June 9th or 10th? I have to look at the schedule, but I lost everybody. I don't know if you can still hear me. I've lost
We
everybody.
hear you. Yep, we hear
Okay.
you.
My screen has gone completely gone. So, so I'm not really sure what that meeting is going to be about. Redistricting discussion. I don't know if they're planning on moving borders or what will be happening, but I will be updating council as soon as I learn more information about that after the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Karen.
That's my update.
Let's circle back to Ryan, and then I believe we've caught everybody. I believe that will be the end of staff updates. And then I know we have Mr. Bender and Mr. Johnson on. We are going to move to your agenda item right after staff updates. So Ryan, any updates for council this evening?
Mayor, City Council, nothing specific other than a lot of construction projects are active. So if you got questions, just feel free to reach out anytime through the week.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions specifically for Ryan this evening? All right. With that, let's circle back to our regular agenda and let's circle back up to item 7E, which is Resolution 05242105, the Forest Hills Preserve. And Donovan, we'll let you start.
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to